Hi, everybody. Welcome to a holiday quickie quick shot of romance. I am Leah, and I am joined by Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Leah.
And on this episode of the Holiday Quickies, we are reviewing Make Me Merry by Marie Johnston. We'll link the synopsis of the book in our on the shelf show notes at buzzingaboutromance.com, so you can head over there to get all the information. So this book was released in October. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
So October 12th, 2023, the tropes are childhood crush, boss's daughter, age gap, small town, forced proximity, weather, if you need to know which kind it is. He is a bearded hero. It is told in dual first-person point of view, and it puts out, the pop is 51%, but there is a lot of lead up, so like that 51% does not feel like 51%. And
Yes.
I wouldn't say there's really a third act breakup. There kind of is, third act pause.
Yeah. For a minute.
Yeah, it's like a hot minute. It's one of those like they have it, but they don't really have it type of things. So this one, it was 139 pages, and yes, sirree, it is spicy.
Yes, it is.
So it is part of the Oil Barons world, which is a spinoff of the Oil Kings world. So if you haven't read these series, you can just dive into the story. So if you haven't read Marie Johnston before and you want something short to see, like if you like her writing style, this is the perfect book to dive into, because it is one of those things where you meet other characters, but you are not going to be lost if you haven't read them.
I agree completely.
And the ultimate question of the holiday quickie quick shots: does this pass the Die Hard Christmas test?
No, I don't think so.
I agree.
So I think it could have happened, they're in North Dakota, right? So I mean, they could have been snowed in several instances, and the Christmas part doesn't really play an aspect other than that's when her mother typically goes on vacation, so she's not home. So, but other than that, it could have been any time.
Well, and it's one of those things, like her mom will do these like random like boyfriend trips like any other time too. And so like, yes, she's coming home for Christmas, but at the same time, it could have been any holiday or any like special occasion like that she was traveling. So yeah, unfortunately, it does not pass the Die Hard test. But this is the story of Colt Jensen and Nora Barron. So Colt has worked for Nora's mother for many, many years now. He's usually a man of one night stands and has a reputation around town about that.
Yes, and he's kind of keeps to himself, so not a lot of people know much about him other than his name and that he works for Nora's mom. And I think he's probably closest to Nora's brother Holden, but even Holden doesn't really know a lot about him.
Yeah, he's really tight-lipped about his past. Like he's very ashamed of his past and like what got him to this point in his life. And so that's the thing, like he and Holden, like Holden's one of his best friends, but Holden does not know a lot of like what got him to like North Dakota and why he is the way he is. Because they actually, in the very first chapter, like Nora makes a comment about Colt, and Holden's like, yeah, he's off to wherever he goes at this time of the year. Like nobody even knows like where he's at, what he's doing, or anything like that. So he's very closed off. Like he keeps a lot of things close to the vest. And as like his story unfolds, you can understand why he does, and because of decisions that he made. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you're 44. Get over yourself.
Yeah. It's time to move on.
Yeah. And I had a hard time with why he came back early. So he comes back early to the house, and let me just tell you this a little bit. So Nora goes to her mom's house, and she walks in the house, and there's a naked ass like in front of the refrigerator. Now Nora's not disappointed in this naked ass, because Colt is standing in the kitchen butt naked because he put his clothes in the washer, and nobody was home.
All of his clothes.
All of the clothes, and nobody was home. And so he just decided to stay naked. Because who doesn't do that? I mean, I can't say that I walk around my house without any clothes on, But hey, some people might. And if that's your thing, have at it, friends. It's not my cup
Yeah.
of tea.
No. But you know, it created a nice situation for Nora to get a peek though.
Oh, she could, and a peak she does.
Yeah. Yep.
It's not really a peak. I mean, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
She's not disappointed in the view. I'll just say that. But yeah, but Colt, like he says he came home early, and as his story plays out and he explains like why he came early, like I kind of wanted to kick him because I'm like, you're not making it any better for yourself.
Yeah, he was in his own way a lot.
He really was. And like you could understand it, but at the same time, it's like it's never going to get better if you don't have conversations and like are open and it was his character was a little frustrating to me in that sense. Not that I didn't enjoy his character, but he was a little frustrating.
No, I can see that.
But so Nora was raised in this small town of Coal Haven, but she actually owns a coffee shop in Bismarck, which is very gut friendly. So Nora does a lot of like substitute gluten-free, like substitute sugar type of things because she has a lot of like stomach and health issues. And one thing I really loved about Nora is the fact like she went out and she did something for herself to take care of herself, and her family doesn't understand her, and it made me a little bit sad for her.
Yeah, and I felt that way in the other books too, because you know, in the previous books for the series, you get a little bit of those glimpses. And that was why I really wanted her story, because you know, you see that she's different from her family. She definitely has a contentious relationship with her mother.
Oh yeah.
And then this book explains it like a lot more. I mean, you know, she was having problems and food intolerances, and no one wanted to hear it. So she just kind of went out and fixed it herself.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like Holden and her have a pretty good relationship. And it's one of those things where it's like you can understand like why he acted the way he did because he's her older brother. And it's one of those things where it's like, I think that he thought she was doing these things to get attention. But as they've gotten older, he's recognized like it truly was like, I need to do this for my health. Like I am not okay physically. And so like he doesn't love the things that she makes, but he's at least willing to be open to them now. Like he doesn't make fun of the fact that like she has to make these things or provides these things and he'll eat them now. Like he doesn't love them, but he has definitely grown since they've gotten older. And I think that that's a really important part of the story because it shows, and if you've read these books, you see that the siblings, while they may not always get along and they might fight because they're siblings, they band together because the parents are so terrible for the most part.
The parents in the series are terrible, but they also, you know, throughout these books they get redemption as well. And I think that this series like generally generationally just shows a lot of growth on every end.
It really does. But it also goes to show that just because somebody is set in their ways, like a conversation, honest truth conversation does make a difference because I do not like Nora's mom. Like she is selfish.
No.
She is very like, this is the way it's going to be. Like she is, I don't care for her at all. But by the end of the book, like she's at least open to listening. She might still be very judgmental and unkind, but she at least is listening.
Yeah, I appreciated that at the end because I think every time with a set of parents or aunts and uncles, like I wondered, I was like, how is she gonna, you know, reconcile this? You know, and she doesn't reconcile it completely, but just enough that you feel like going forward that relationship is going to be better.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because that's the thing. Like it's not going to be an instantaneous fix. Like when there are issues, like it's not like you snap and it's better. Like there's going to be backslides. There's going to be things that happen. And it's one of those things where like it's so real in the way that she treats the changes in the adaptations in the relationships and the friendships and all of those things. Like there's just such a realness to the way that she writes her characters.
It really is. I love it.
Mm-hmm. So Colt and Nora, like they've kind of danced around each other. So Nora always had a crush on Colt, like from the time like she was young, and she said like like her feelings changed as she got older, but he changed a lot too. And probably she said it had been like 5 years, but in their relationship had completely changed, and he basically avoided her. And then you find out he started seeing her in a very different perspective, and like being the boss's daughter and being who he perceives himself to be, like he created that distance and avoidance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, he says that, he came to start seeing her more as a woman instead of, a child. And he's like, I never looked at you like, any kind of way, maybe, yeah, like you said, until like 5 years ago, which would have put her about 25 because she's 30 in the book.
Yeah.
So there's a 14-year age gap. So
But it's one of those age gaps where like she's almost the more mature of the two, because she's very business savvy. Like I said, she owns her own coffee shop. Like there's talk. She has had thoughts about expanding into a second location, but she's terrified to do it. And I feel like that's a really important part of the story, because it's like she's very business savvy, but at the same time, like she is petrified to expand and get to be too much for her. And I appreciate that she's looking at all of those what could go wrong aspects, but I wanted her to be more confident in her abilities.
yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the fact that she was, that she's at this point in her life. And like you said, I think she is really the more mature one in the relationship. She has her own thing going on. She kind of knows who she is. And Colt is still very much stuck in his past.
Yeah.
And, kind of just really, at this point in his life, doesn't really have a pot to piss in kind of thing. Like he lives on the ranch, and we find out why.
We're not going to tell you because
we're not going to tell you because it's a big spoiler, but I mean, there are reasons. But yeah, she's definitely got more going on for her than he does at this point.
And the thing is, like, she knows she is more than what her mother made her out to be. Like, because like I said, her mom is not nice. She does not treat her kindly. She puts her down. Like, she does not instill any confidence in this kid. And so she understands, like, I am more than what she sees me as. And like Holden is very supportive, and like he's the one who's like, you should open a branch in Coalhaven. Like you can like do both, because Bismarck's only like a half hour away or something like that. It's not super far. It's far enough that like she has that distance from her mom, but it's not so far that like she can't see her brother and the nieces and nephews. And I think that's a big part of it is I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that. I just really enjoyed her. But
I did too.
But Colt, like Nora shows Colt that he is more than what he thinks he is. Like he is capable, and he needs to get out of his own way, and he needs to nurture the relationships that he has been avoiding, because it's going to make things worse. Like there is stuff in his past, like the people in his past have not stopped moving forward. And so she basically is like, if you don't nurture the relationship there, you're going to screw yourself out of a lot more happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he gets there. It takes him, it takes him a little while, but he gets there. And like I enjoyed him getting there, especially when he decides to go all in with her. And he's like, he basically tells her mom, but who is his boss, and that creates like another kind of dynamic for them. And he's basically like, well, this is what's going to happen, and if you fire me kind of thing. But
yeah, and that's why I want to say, like, that's why like their dark moment is, or their third act breakup isn't really a third act breakup. It's kind of like a pause, because like Nora kind of like takes a step back because she doesn't want him to implode. basically. But he, like, when he decides that he is all in, like he is ready for this, like he is ready to implode everything. Like he does not care. Like he is willing to like fix the relationship that he is not done anything with, basically, like from what we don't know. And I know that's really vague, but sorry. But he is ready to like basically blow his life up to be with Nora like long term. And I love that. Oh, and I think I lost Amanda again. So I'm just going to finish this up. I lost Amanda. I don't know if it's her internet or my internet, but we are having issues. So if you have a book you think we should review for a quick shot of romance, go ahead and send us an email at thebees@bookcaseandcoffee.com. And thank you, everybody, for joining us in this quickie holiday quick shot. And until next time, happy reading, everybody.
Find us on Instagram at buzzingaboutromance or on Twitter at buzzingromance. If you like the podcast, please leave a review. If you'd like to support us directly, join the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon and receive exclusive content only available to Patreon members. Check out bookcaseandcoffee.com for our on-the-shelf show notes.